Welcome to Life by Design for Chiropractors, episode 138.
Welcome to Life by Design, the podcast for chiropractors. Here's your host, Dr. Jamie Richards.
Hey guys, welcome to Life by Design for Chiropractors. I'm your host, Dr. Jamie Richards, and I'm joined today by nobody flying solo again, and talking about the two practices, tale of two practices, if you will, to go deeper into this idea of what type of practice would you like and what type of practice are you creating and building right now. And really this thought about the two practices is born out of what I've seen in my own practice. So here we are in the Life by Design Center. I'm in the waiting area. We're pre-shift today, expecting patients here in the next 15 or 20 minutes. We'll have our pre-shift meeting. And, you know, we've had tons of growth continually over the last 5 years. And we started from scratch, and over the last 5 years, we've grown and grown and grown. Had a handful of associates come and go, and working with a great associate right now. And it's exciting because the growth is there, the practice is booming. It's wonderful. But I think for a lot of clients, I see that there's this thought process that you have to grow, and it just keeps going and going and going. And the goal is born from this idea that I need to see 300 visits a week or 400 or 500 or keep going and going and going. I need to serve more people. And so the flip side of that is the goal becomes seeing more people, and the strategy can become things like discounting examinations, cheap entry for new patients, discounted fees, family plans, all those kind of things to crank up the numbers. And we start to see that we're serving more people, but profits, the revenues, the time that's spent, the energy to generate enough new people to keep that growth going. There's another option. There's another way to go about this. And I don't think it's considered enough. And now where I see a lot of docs that I end up meeting with, and if you want me to look at your practice and consider this with you, go through some statistics, look them over, you can at any time schedule a discovery call. That's something that we do with people who want to figure out what type of practice is best for them. And I'll put a link in the bio. I'll put a link in the show notes so you can grab that and click it and schedule something with us. And as I go through these discovery calls, I'm finding this trend that repeats itself over and over and over again. And that's that most docs are actually in between these two practice types. And once again, I've been there. And more recently, I've spent the last probably 18 months in that in-between place. But it was a conscious decision to get from one style of practice to a level of growth that was feasible to maintain with an associate or with multiple associates. So let's talk about those two different pieces. I think on one hand, you've got a practice that everybody thinks about. I would say if you're collecting or billing an appropriate fee for your marketplace, to have an ultra profitable practice where you're serving, the lots of people, you've got to get over the hump of 230, 220, 240 visits. And when you get over that, then, you can have a 3.5 day a week practice, a 4 day a week practice. Again, are there people that are seeing way more, that are, checking hundreds and hundreds of people? Absolutely. And that's not what I'm saying. I'm saying on average, there's two types of practices. And you need to get into one group or the other group. And knowing what to expect in each of those groups and what the benefit is and what the challenges are is super important. So if you can get over that 225, 230, 240 hump, then you can have this scaled up practice where it's going to cost you more money because you're going to have to increase staffing, you're going to have to increase the expenditures of the practice, even the square footage of your practice, in order to get to that place. The marketing that needs to go on, the time, the energy into marketing that needs to go on, or hiring that out to somebody else, and just processing the number of new people that are going to be required to get into that position. Now, we've bridged that gap here over the last 18 months, and we're beyond that drastically now, and it's great. But having two doctors here makes it feasible, makes it profitable for two doctors, and that's the other part, is as you scale up, you get into this sweet spot of 250, 260, 270, 280, you start getting up there, and as long as you're billing appropriately for the value you're creating, then you can have a second associate doctor. Are there docs, again, who are doing this by themselves? Absolutely. That's not the conversation I'm having right now. I'm having the conversation of what most people are going to be able to do, what most doctors are going to be able to sustain. So that's the model that I think a lot of people know about. Most docs are actually in limbo. They're somewhere between 100, good practices that are 150, 180, 200, and they're stuck in this area where it's requiring a lot of time and energy and maybe even increased staffing and potentially even increased space in order to service that number of people. But the profits are really not that much different at a lower level. So let's flip to the other side. There's another practice that I don't think a lot consider. Part of it is that mentality that we've been ingrained to continue to see more and more and more and more and grow and grow and grow and grow. And we don't give enough credence or thought process to our life and our lifestyle and what it is we want. I want to tell you that it's actually okay to have this other practice. It's a great practice. And it is for a lot of chiropractors. And I would say that the majority of docs, your life would be so much better if you just had this practice. So let's talk about that practice. It's a practice where maybe you practice 2.5 days a week. I know that sounds crazy, but if you actually reverse engineer what it takes to run that type of practice, maybe your visit volume is 120, 130, 140 visits a week over 2 or 2.5 days. And you're obviously billing appropriately for your marketplace. There's a supply and demand, there's an exchange for value. Because the number of staff you need to manage that practice, the size of space you need to manage that practice, the number of new cases you need to manage that practice, allow that practice to be ultra profitable. And the profitability in that practice is freedom. And so it gives you your life back. To even think about being able to practice 2 or 2.5 days a week and use another half day or full day to work on your business, to have 3.5 days to do other things that you love, that you're passionate about, that you enjoy, whether it be family or go play golf or take care of your health for that matter, so you can thrive and live, a long, happy life. That's a practice that people don't give enough thought to, because once you start to get past that 130, 140, 150, you've got to see more new people. You maybe need people to process new cases, examinations. You need more staffing, more time, open up more shifts. So what I want you to do is really start to consider the 2 practice types. And the worst place you can be is in between, or at least in between without the acknowledgement that that's where you are and you're going in one direction. And that's where I was. I knew we were in between and I knew where we were going, and that's what we wanted to do. And even for us, we've got a great associate doctor here. The goal is for our doc to stay on long term, potentially become a partner in our practice. But if that doesn't happen, I've already made the decision that we'll just go the other way. And so if we get to the point where, when this doctor makes a decision to stay or go, and if we're at 300 or 400 checkups a week at an appropriate fee, and he's not staying, I'm not going to personally take care of all of those people. That's not my goal. That's not what I want to do. We've got other things, other irons in the fire, a whole life that I want to continue to live and lead. Life by design and creating content and coaching and working with other doctors to help them. So there's all these other pieces to my life that make me happy. We'll go the other way. We'll have a 2-day-a-week practice. We'll have, whatever the volume is that we're comfortable with. We'll make sure the fees are appropriate. Obviously, supply and demand will be much higher. We can increase our fees and increase profitability, reduce staffing if we have to at that point. Again, we've got the space here, so not much is going to happen at this point for the space. But you get the idea. Is you've got these 2 practices, and you want to be either going in one direction, knowing that you're scaling and growing, or you want to be in the other direction and just be okay with it and really crunch those numbers and figure out where you are and what camp you want to be in. But where you don't want to be is you don't want to be in the middle. That's the most important piece. So if you're not sure where you are and you want to figure it out, jump on a discovery call. We'd love to help you dig into it and get you in one direction or the other, because it's freeing for you to know where you are and where you're going. And that's the whole point of this, guys, is to love your life, to be able to be a doctor of chiropractic, to help people, but also love the process and love the rest of your life at the same time. All right? So Dr. Jamie Richards here, Life by Design for Chiropractors, the voice of reason in chiropractic.